All right, appreciate it. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. Just finished up a team workout out there on the field with our guys. Love the way they're working right now. It's been a really good 3 weeks here in the month of January, recruiting-wise. Today's the last day that we're allowed to be out on the road recruiting. So we've been out pretty much every day the last 3 weeks and seen a lot of great prospects, been into a lot of high schools, and new rule this year where we're able to have contact with 2025s, meaning juniors in high school, and sit down and visit with them. So that's been awesome, being able to have their families come up to the high school and be able to sit down with them legally. It's really helped a lot, and have enjoyed our time out as well. We've had prospects in the last 3 weekends, including the weekend coming up as well, for visits here on our campus. We've got a good group of guys that'll be here tomorrow and Sunday, and then recruiting travel part of it and visit shut down for a while. That's what February is. February is a dead period after this weekend, and then cranks back up in March. But have gotten a lot done recruiting-wise over the last month. I want to thank everyone that's created some awesome environments in Colonial Life for basketball games. We've had a lot of recruits there, and like I told everyone last week when I spoke at the basketball game, those environments resonate, and wherever I go, recruiting-wise, seems like both of our basketball teams and their success continues to come up. So congrats to them, Don and Lamont, and thanks to our fans for the environment that have been created for our recruits that have been there. Was down at the Senior Bowl on Wednesday and had a chance to watch Xavier and Spencer practice, and it's great seeing those guys. First of all, two great representatives of our program, so really enjoyed getting to watch them, but also getting to talk to them and visit with them, and been great getting to hear from so many NFL personnel while we were down in Mobile that afternoon about both those guys and how impressive they've been, not just on the field in practice, but in interviews that take place down at the Senior Bowl and whatnot as well. So wish them luck in the game tomorrow. And then Marcellus Dial, I know, was part of the East-West game this week, East-West Shrine game, and I've heard great things, great feedback from that week. Also, eager, now that recruiting travel closes up this week, eager to really completely jump in with our current team in the month of February. That's what February is. We've been utilizing some times during the week within recruiting like we did this morning with our team. But since no one's going on the road recruiting after today, all of February will be with our players and here in Columbia, and excited about the progress they've made in the weight room over the last month, and looking forward to completely jumping in with them. Like I said, as we gear up towards the start of spring practice, I think David asked me last time, that'll be Tuesday, March 19th. I believe that's the correct date. So Tuesday, March 19th will be our spring game as well. So I know you're all here to meet Joe today. Could not be more pumped about him joining our staff. He's jumped right in to everything with our players, our staff, full speed ahead with him. Someone who our relationship goes back, I guess, 20-plus years, back to when I was an assistant coach at Mississippi State, and my dad brought Joe up to visit with the staff at Virginia Tech from a special teams standpoint. He was with the Falcons at the time, and a lot of the things my dad did on special teams all the way to the end of his career are things that he learned from Joe that day. He was with the Atlanta Falcons at the time. We had a kickoff return till the day my dad retired called Falcon, that Joe had installed when he came to Virginia Tech. The pump protection we used at Virginia Tech was what Joe had taught my dad that day as well. And I guess it's longer than 20 years. I was a graduate assistant at Georgia Tech back in 2000, and that was the year that Mike Vick got drafted by the Falcons and Dan Reeves. And I was living in Atlanta and went up to Flowery Branch to watch them practice some. And I guess that's when we first connected and have just kept in touch over the years. The foundation that my dad did a lot of his stuff, I said, came from Joe, and then myself included. A lot of the things that I believe in and have done as a special teams coordinator, learned from him. Carolina ties, his father-in-law, God rest his soul, was Dan Reeves, great Gamecock as well. So this place has a special place in his heart as well. He's about relationships. It's cool hearing from so many guys that he has been around in the NFL. I got a text message from Spencer Lanning the other day. Not many people in here remember Spencer other than maybe Reggie, Hale, and David. So the Pete baby as well, some of the old guard as well. But Spencer sent me a text message about about Joe as well. I said it last week when I talked to you guys at the basketball game. I wasn't going to hire a special teams coordinator unless I felt like I could bring in somebody that could truly make us better and was a star at that. And when you are able to hire a guy that's been in the NFL for 30-plus years, has won 2 Super Bowls, has been an interim head coach, had other NFL teams, not to get too into that, but had other NFL teams that were trying to hire him last week and chose to stay in the college game as opposed to going back to the NFL. I mean, it's a huge statement about our program, and will be and is already an awesome hire for us. The year that he spent at the University of Texas last year, I think, gave him great conviction that college game is pretty special and where he wants to be. And obviously that speaks volumes that he chose to come here as well. Talk to those guys at Texas, some of the players and coaches out there that I know, and that's what they said, is they couldn't believe that this guy hadn't been in college football his entire career because of the way that he was able to affect that team, connect, build relationships on and off the field, without a doubt as well. So he'll make us better, and this is an awesome hire for us, and one that I know Gamecock fans are really ecstatic about. So we'll bring him up here in a second. Before I bring him up and let you guys visit with him, any questions that you have about Joe or the process or anything going on?
Shane, just a couple. First, with the workout today, any more guys that you know might not be available for the beginning of spring practice?
No, nothing new from last week. Again, we got some guys that are pushing to get back. We do have some guys out there right now, David, that are limited as well, but no one new. I'll probably have a more thorough injury report for you as we get closer to spring practice. But all those guys some of the guys that are limited right now are going to be cleared next week, and Rocket right now is probably the one, I don't want to say long term, but the one that won't be ready for spring practice, but we'll see as the spring goes.
And then as February goes on, just how much are you guys as coaches allowed to do with the players? How much is strength and how much is what you guys can do?
Yeah, it's 8 hours a week is what we have right now, and we're able to build some football stuff into that. So the bulk of our time is in the weight room. We need to get bigger. We need to get stronger. We need to get faster, like every team does. So the bulk of the time is in the weight room, but we take the amount of time that we need each week from a football standpoint, X's and O's, position fundamentals, team building stuff that we do as a team throughout the week as well, trying to maximize the amount of every ounce of time that we have. But the bulk of our time, the priority is certainly the weight room as we go into spring practice.
Shane, I'll ask Joe this question. Maybe he'll bring it up on his introductory press when he opens up. But as a special teams coordinator, someone that understands the importance of building relationships, having a chance to talk with some of Joe's former players, what would you tell people that look at it and they're saying, all right, what about his recruiting? Because obviously, again, it's a special teams coordinator. You understand the importance of building those relationships.
Mm-hmm. I think recruiting is just about hard work and relationships. Sterling Lucas had never recruited a day in his life when we hired him from the NFL, and his track record, what Sterling's done from a recruiting standpoint, speaks for itself, because Sterling is personable, works his butt off, and is a competitor and able to build relationships. And I would say all the same about Joe as well. He's been a lot of places, coaching areas that we recruit, whether it be when he was with the Atlanta Falcons in the Atlanta area, Jacksonville Jaguars in the Jacksonville area, and whatnot. So areas that he's coached that are recruiting areas for us, he's got familiarity with those regions, and then he's a guy that can certainly build relationships. You don't last that long in the NFL coaching special teams because, as you guys have heard me say before, that special teams coach is the one guy that has to have relationships with every single player on the roster because they're all involved with special teams. And so he is a relationship guy. He's certainly a competitor, and I know he's eager to get to work from that standpoint.
Did you call me old earlier?
I didn't say old. I just meant you've been here for a while. The old guard. Okay. Is what I said. You're certainly not old. The old guard, some of these young guys in here, were not here my first time around. That's what I meant.
Okay, cool. I wasn't here your first time around either.
Well, it feels like you have, so I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. With the weight room stuff and off-season program, what does that look like this year? Is it the same, different, or are there any tweaks or adjustments that have been made?
No, I think you're always tweaking and adjusting and looking back at how we can be better, and that's in every department: weight room, coaching, nutrition, training room, equipment, you name it. You're always looking at how we can improve, and it was the same way 2 years ago when we won 8 games, and it was the same way last season as well. From a weight room standpoint, I mean, we've tweaked some things that we do lift-wise, maybe added some new things, doing a little bit less of stuff. I think Luke and his staff are doing a really good job of explaining the why that we do things, why we're doing this, how it relates, and you know, it's all that culture, whatever you want to call it, starts in the weight room, and you know, it's a race to build that before the start of the season in August when we start practice and the first game as well, and that all starts in the weight room. So we're trying to do as much of that as we can, the communication, the leadership, along with getting stronger and bigger and faster like every team wants to. But essentially a little bit more of this, maybe a little bit less of some stuff, and really hopefully doing a better job of explaining the why. Not that we didn't before, I'm not saying that, but just making sure our guys all understand here's what this is developing, and teaching a lot more too.
Hey Shane, are you more excited for Joe, the special teams coach who can revitalize things, or Joe, just the guy who'll be a couple doors down and you can pick the brain of and learn more and, you know, grow?
I'd say both. Great question. Both, you know, very much. I mean, wherever he's been, I've always kept in touch with him. I mean, there was a time he was the special teams coach of the Jaguars, and I was here working with Coach Spurrier, and there was an assistant special teams job open on his staff that I was very intrigued by, and it didn't work out, and I'm blessed. It worked out for everybody. You know, who knows what happens if that move happens, but here I am today, and that's the perfect way for this thing to go. But whether he was with Jacksonville or whether he was with the Dallas Cowboys or the Atlanta Falcons or Los Angeles Rams, I kept in touch with him and always tried to pick his brain from a special team standpoint, drills standpoint, because he's brilliant. And the fact of the matter is, he's one of the greatest special teams coaches in the history of the game of football. I mean, that's just facts. So from a special team standpoint, absolutely. Then the fact that he's been around the college game for a year and has been able to add that, because the college game's different. The rules are different and field dimensions are different. But being able to take that and add to what he's already done, but then just his background. I mean, I'd be crazy not to pick his brain on stuff. He's won Super Bowls. He just coached in a college football playoff game and won a conference championship with Texas. And I know he was very connected with Coach Sarkisian with a lot of that. And he and I had a great conversation about Joe, Coach Sarkisian and I did, and that's one thing he said. So just being able to, kind of like with the special teams coach, no matter who you are, you have to have relationships with everyone on the team. It's the same thing. If you're a special teams coach, you've got to be involved in all 3 phases of the game management and things like that as well. And I love that part of it, but being able to pick his brain on the strategy, the game management, team building, all that as well. Special teams-wise, you've got to be able to motivate everyone to play special teams. And I've watched him live and in practice and don't know if anybody does it better. Good? All right. With that, please welcome Joe DeCamillis.